goes to the top now with a 47.2, which isn't too far what IIRL would have done if he didn't invalidate his time. So looks like Richie really struggled with that opening time as 153.9. But then again, this is only the first part of the qualifying rounds. So still plenty more time to find as that guy comes over the line with a 50.3, and Mr. Wiggle sadly is a 2:06. Flo has just done a 2:04. As IIRL continues to fight the car, that shows he's gone purple in his first sector. So I'll stay on board with him and see how well he does. In between then, who else is waiting to complete a lap? I think it's one of the Ferraris.
Trevor's coming close to the end of the line.
I see there was Destin Priol who is invalidating his time. Prev, let's go on board with him in the Mercedes. Probably looking about a 1:50 here as you go through. He hugs the inside line very well there, but it's one of those kind of double apex corners. You go late through the middle. Upshifts early to 4th, so this won't be a time that will get him on pole, but it's for 49.9,
a solid time
so it's
for
good enough for 4th for now.
Yes.
Oh, and no assist as well. Absolutely brilliant. But as you can see on the screen, it's not exactly hammer it down with rain anymore. I think we're going to be on to Inters pretty soon.
And I think it's quite nice to mention, it's this man's home Grand Prix. Flew 32. So I'm sure he's very happy in the Alpine as well, the French car. He's just loving Baguette Land.
French guy in a French car, and what may very well be the last French Grand Prix we have as part of this league for the foreseeable future. Because if they decide not to include, the French Grand Prix as part of the next game or DLC, then if it doesn't feature in the next game, this will be the last French Grand Prix for a while. So I think Flo will want to make sure he gets a good one result in his homeland.
Yeah. I think he's got a little bit of a French helmet as well. I can see some white, blue and red on his helmet, which is nice to see anyway.
Very patriotic. Their real life livery for the 2023 Formula 1 season. And I was looking at that thing and thinking to myself, it doesn't half remind me of a Porsche livery, the one they had in Formula E.
Yeah.
Poor Haas, we'll find a way to meme them somehow.
IIRL and John just coming across the line to go 2nd and 3rd respectively. Which I think they are both very close to each other, which they are.
Surprisingly, no one yet quite gone to the intermediate. Maybe it's a lot wetter than it looks here on stream. But everyone thinks just electing to stay out on track, finding the grip wherever they can. But hopefully at least by the end, we see a Haas going off in the Minstrel Straight. That's what I'm calling it, the Minstrel Straight. And yeah,
I call it the Baguette
very,
Straight
very
because it is a straight.
No, the whole track's
straight,
Baguette, mate. the whole track's awkwardly shaped like one.
Destined then coming over to hopefully get a valid lap this time after 2 invalidations. Oh, bit of a wiggle there. Coming out of 2nd gear, and he can't even get any traction into 3rd gear. Crossing the line to go 9th fastest, even with a massive snap. Still goes 9th fastest, so solid there by Destined. And we have a gambler. Mr. TRC Deton out on the Inters. Joseph Hills has said it as well.
Closely, yeah.
Evening Tucker, hope you are well.
J Hales is saying, can't say dry ups in the wet are fun. I can see that. Ooh. Oh, and the Red Bull goes wide.
Look a bit late there, I think.
Yeah.
Have to remember no assists.
Distance is so much more. Yeah, that's right. Braking distance is so much more in the wets. Plus, with no assists, you've got to look for anything you can as a reference point. So you don't have the advantage of the line, which is so easy to have, which I think I'll probably end up going back to.
I definitely don't have the line on the 9, yes.
I used to not have it on, but I've just kind of given up. I'm an 82, so I guess I can have it. Interesting, Deton hasn't set a time yet. So This will be his first time run. He doesn't
It-
look wholly comfortable out there, does he?
Your confidence kind of goes up after doing a few laps, so maybe this is just a bit of a sight of the Deton. It does say purple middle sector, but that might just be the game, because the game likes to give everyone the purple middle sector.
That's just the way Cody's works.
What a lovely game. We say this every week, what a lovely game.
I think that should be a new drinking game now. Take a shot every time we say what a lovely game.
I'd be pissed.
Yeah, I'd be gone.
Get me on the vodka and I'm gone.
Get me on anything, I'm gone. I'm not that much of a lightweight. As TRC Deton comes across the line, it's only 46.6. So I'm
We
assuming
lost
this
a lot
lap
of time
we'll
in the
see.
first sector, but like we saw, so
But yeah, well, this one was so much
that was
easier
a lot better.
for him to do. So much better, yeah.
Let's see what Joseph's doing. He is 1.5 seconds up on his lap time through the middle sector, so I think it is definitely time for the intermediates.
A bit of oversteer through that long corner, especially just before coming into Labose, and this one he's holding it off very, very well. Yeah, I think he's on track now to go faster, which just shows to everyone here that the cutoff point is well and truly here. And for the likes of Joseph Hale and Iros J and all these people that are going onto it now, they're going to have more time and more grip to find on those intermediate tyres. But as the Alpine comes across the line, you French people in the audience are about to see something brilliantly for the next few seconds or so, because an Alpine is about to go pole position, and he does go pole position. So 43.8 for Joseph Hales.
He definitely missed it though on the exit of the final corner. It was extremely close to going over the track limits, but you kind of need to. You need to gain as much time as possible.
Yeah. But then again, it's a shorter line to the start finish straight, isn't it?
Yeah, it isn't too long of a drag. Hissy is coming to the line now, and will possibly go onto the front row to join Joseph, but tops it even better. Goes
Nice
fastest. The man who is reserving, AT2 champion, goes fastest.
And Iros J is backed off from his initial lap, so he's going for another one as he comes around the final corner. Almost loses the back end there. So the Red Bull still under pressure, and 10:10 has invalidated his time. Joe Hales is 5 seconds down on his best, so can't say this will be an improvement. Wiggles won't be improving on this one either, but John is 8/10 up on his fastest, so we could very well see a McLaren in opposition as he really tries to get a toe off that Alfa Romeo behind.
Yeah, 8/10 in the first sector is very significant. We'll see a lot of track evolution across the next 2 minutes or so, and I think it's going to be who is going to be last on the track, who has the best conditions.
Yeah, and sure, John there 2 seconds up in his best. Iros J was also a second, just under a second up in his best as well. SMH CRN in the Aston goes fourth fastest, as we see the McLaren.
He told us to call him Sammy, so
All right, we're going to call him Sammy from now
that's
on.
an
Sammy
easier way for you to say it rather than saying his full name.
Well, it's better than trying to pronounce Greg's real name. Let's see what John does.
There we go.
41.7. There's the benchmark.
That's the track evolution for you.
Yep. It's happening now.
It's going to be who is going to be last over the line with a minute left. For last over the line, maybe. Oh, this is very close between 4 drivers going to the line. Every single one of them literally to the line. Iros J goes fastest with deflated
By
going
a thousandth
to
of a
third.
second.
Richie going 6th. Oh, and the McLaren, the Mercedes has been spun there of Prev. That was extremely weird. 4 cars all in 1 point, and one of the Mercedes did get spun, so I think there may have been contact there. which isn't ideal for Prev, and that'll probably be Prev out of qualifying. He's on the wets, and he's just missed out. So Dayman, oh, he goes 10th fastest, but still might be at risk. Sammy goes 11th fastest. The Alpine of Joseph Hales goes into a pit lane. We have John coming around the final corner, 8 tenths up on his lap time, so if he continues this he will go above Mr. Wiggles. Oh, a Ferrari there going very wide, either of destined or Monkey Raja, but John to the line does go fastest by 3 tenths of a second. Small Smiley goes third.
Richie, Deaton and Prev are not going to improve, and neither's Destin, so it's really between... Padge is currently on a lap as well in 19th. Always love to see him. And Monkey Raja's invalidated, so he's not going to go any further. It's
that
between that guy and Padge.
Up. 3 seconds up for Raja. I mean, that guy 6th fastest.
Yep, so he's through. Now it all depends on Padge to see what he does.
Whether he knocks out TRC Deaton, but he has just invalidated. Oh, it's a shame for Padge.
That's a massive shame. He was on track to go through as well as 1010 goes fastest. And as we always love to see Padge in these streams, so it's a massive shame he goes 19th of the boss.
He would have gone 8th fastest with that lap time as well. I'm sure he's kicking himself.
Yeah, that's such a shame for him. On the bright side though, with Ferraris are not completely lost, so I think he saved a few heartbreaks in Maranello.
For change of weather, which was nice to see. But it's 1010 and John in 1 and 2, the top 2 in the title contenders, with Mr. Wiggles in P3, that Small Smiley P4, and Hissy with a strong showing so far in P5. And it will be Majestic, Monkey Raja, Destined and Prev on out in qualifying, and they all set their fastest time on the wet tyres, which kind of shows you it did indeed get faster on them intermediates.
Decent when you're racing. Goes down all the way to first, which isn't quite as isn't very ideal when you're going.
Maybe just wanted a bit of rotation.
Maybe, yeah. Then again, you could just apply a bit more throttle. But anyway, we're going to go on to Richie M's first lap. I'll take you through this. Very steadily through 4th and 5th gear through the first 2 corners. Keeps it well planted as he goes all the way up until 7th gear to 8th gear to just now turn 4 and 5. The long left-handers seem to go on forever. Now the awkward right-hander down to 2nd gear. And this is long right-hander here where you've got to keep the throttle in check, or else you'll end up spinning off the into the blue and red stripes, which is still so confusing to have at the Grand Prix track. DRS opened down the Minstrel Straight for the Haas. As he comes down, where does he choose to brake? Just after the 100-meter, but he's overcooked it. And Richie has overcooked his braking marker and will not be setting a competitive time this time around.
Oh, and his teammate just cuts the corner too much as well, so that's an invalid time for his teammate. So we'll carry on with Joseph Hales. He's roughly around the same part.
And he is in an Alpine, so it'll be kind of backwards in this track. Almost look like he's oversteering a little bit, going through the long right-hander. Into the bow side he goes, stays in 5th, down 6th, shop shifts down to 5th rather. I'm getting my gears mixed up as he comes round to another long left-hander. And that's one thing, there's a lot of straights on the track, but there's a lot of corners that will really punish your tyres. He hugs the curbs very much so as it goes down into penultimate corner, then the final corner down to 2nd gear. Takes a tight line in, so he powers all the way down now to the start-finish straight. It's going to be a low 1 minute 30 as Joe Hale comes across the line. It's a 31.9 for the Alpine.
So I'd say it's about a second at least off of predominant the best conditions on the track, but track evolution happening as RSJ goes fastest with a 31.0.
Yep, that's the benchmark, isn't it? So let's see who else is on a timed lap.
Sammy is finishing his lap in the Aston Martin. Goes fourth fastest at the minute.
I saw that guy's finishing us up in the Williams. Goes second with a 31.6.
10:10 is starting his lap time. Hissy is coming towards the end.
Let's see what Hissy does in the Alpha. 82 champion comes across the line and he goes fourth with that time, so just behind Joseph Hales.
I'm sure Hissy won't be complaining about that. To say he's only a slightly behind Joseph Hales, who is an impressive driver, I think. I don't think he'll be complaining too much.
Yeah, Hissy was always decent. What was great about him in 82 when I was racing against him, he was just consistently up there on the grid and he wasn't making any silly mistakes as well. So all he has to do is just don't make any mistakes and he'll slowly get the pace up, and he'll need it obviously for 81 as well since he's graduated. But yeah, very brilliant reserve performance so far from Hissy.
And I think we have the sun starting to come out slightly, which will definitely make the track faster and warmer. 10:10 is coming to the end of his first lap in Q2. Keeping it very nicely. A little bit of understeer possibly, but keeping it very nicely. Hooking up that inside curve, very nice.
That was
getting
brilliant,
the power.
The way he took that last corner.
Yeah, very good. Very hooked up. And he goes second fastest.
On a bad lap, but still more grip to find, I feel.
Yeah, certainly.
33.5 for Deton. We've got the smaller Smiley out in the Alfa Romeo. Yeah, the sun's definitely coming out, which will help anyone trying to warm their tyres. We're not going to see the fastest lap in the world, but Smiley comes across the line, does a 32.1. Good enough for 6th at the moment. Both Alfa Romeos up there in the top 10. Hello, Hyper. How are you doing? Probably looking at potential. You look at a John lap and you're probably thinking he's got a shot for pole position here because he's been very consistent over the first 2 races with already a 22-point lead in the standings with 2 wins and 5 points gained in the sprint. 50.6 so far for his second sector. That McLaren is hooked up really nicely, taking plenty of curve through the long right-hander. Now straight into the Bose. Leaves it very late to lift off the throttle, and that almost lets him pendulum round that corner, where it gives him a brilliant exit. I say he's hooking up those exits very, very well indeed. Down into the penultimate section, another long sweeping left-hander, hugs the inside line, and down to the tight hairpin, keeps it in 3rd gear, and now is powering down to the line, stay to the left of side of the track, or not in this case, as he goes across the line, and it's a 31.0, just about 0.04 of a second faster than IIRL J. Once again, we have a McLaren on pole position so far.
It was looking like a very good lap. Oh, and Mr. Wiggles just goes for a little spin there.
His back wiggling out on him, I get it.
It's just like usual, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Flew is starting another lap. And he's nearly 5 tenths up on his lap time, which is good for Flew. He will definitely want to get through to Q2 on his home track.
Upshifts very early coming out of the chicane. 51.4, so he's 8 tenths up on his best, but still a long way down from pole position. He should be able to improve at least by a second, but even a full second wouldn't get him any higher on the grid, because there's still 1.1 seconds between him and smaller Smiley, as once again the Alpine goes a long way around that set of corners. Penultimate one's coming up for the Alpine. Want to see some French glory on this French track with this French car and this French driver. Could this lap get any more French by the day? As he comes now straight to the start-finish straight. What does Flo do? It's a 32.2. He improved, but he doesn't go up the grid order.
Gets him a bit more comfortable of a timer compared to Dayton, but may need to go for another lap if he can.
Pretty close, in fact, very close to the cut-off point. We'll either see two McLarens in this final qualifying session. It looks a little bit awkward there going through the chicane there for Greg. So we'll go on. We'll come back to his lap a little bit later as you see deflated wee coming across the.
Looks very committed at the minute. Oh,
he's invalidated.
Yeah, I just saw that.
And he's lost it for good measure.
He's going to probably come in the pit lane now, which he does. Little sneakily over the line, but...
Well, it never rains, it pours, huh?
Why, that might be deflated wee in 15th. Last week he was 20th, this week he's 15th, and I know he's very strong around this track, so that could be a bit of a shock. Greg goes 5th fastest, pushing Flew down to 10th.
From 8th place down, they're all in the pits, so expect them all to come back out with a fresh set of softs.
The Red Bull of TRC Dayton is coming out. Thing that could do it for them is if they've got enough fuel to go for another lap. But 2 laps on the soft tyres isn't ideal.
No, especially how quickly the battery runs out across this circuit. You need the time. You need the time for a cool down lap as well.
Joseph Hales.
Oh, Flo's retired. Flo's retired from the session, so
in the pits.
So it looks like, yeah, looks like maybe only one of the Alpines is going to get through. Joseph Hales was up at his first sector time as he comes round Le Beauce. Chances are it's only one Alpine that we're going to see through into Q3. John is obviously retired. Everyone from 8th down, apart from Flew, is on an outlap, and oh, it looks like. How did Joseph Hale keep that? We're watching his onboard.
That should have been.
How did he keep that?
He was completely off the track there, so I'm not quite sure why that wasn't invalid, but it does go 3rd fastest. What a lovely game.
It had to be said, didn't it?
It had to be. Wiggles is starting his lap time. IIRL J has invalidated, so that is it for IIRL J.
1010's coming through as well. I think he's gone for another.
He's starting his lap time, I think. We've got a bit
from this session. As we go on board with IIRL J in the Williams, he's someone who should at least be in the top 5 places on the grid. He's currently in 5th right now, but who knows how fast everyone's going to improve. Oh, did I say IIRL J?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I'm at 10-10.
It's been a long day, hasn't it? It's been a long day, Spark.
Yeah, well, it's been a long day, but at least my front wings are safe.
10-10 looks like he might be gonna get a little bit of a slipstream from his teammate. His teammate is in front of him, and he is giving him a slipstream. This is very good tactics by the Williams drivers.
And you're allowed to do it.
Yeah, you are absolutely allowed to do it, so that is very good by that guy. Being
IIRL J's
a good
retired.
teammate. Yeah, he invalidated his lap time, so that is it for IIRL J, like I said. And this is going very well for the Williams driver of 10-10. Coming towards the end.
You're staying on board with Hissy's time. Hissy goes 4th with a 31.4, so I think he may be safe.
Very impressive there by Hissy.
Very good lap.
And 10-10 goes fastest with that slipstream. Could see maybe a couple more people doing that in qualifying as Deflated goes fastest
with a 30.6.
And Wiggles is out.
Wow.
Wiggles out in qualifying. That is a shock, I would say. Richie going 12th. Dayton replacing him into 12th. And Flew just out in P11 because Dayman is in P10. That is...
Yeah, exactly.
That is a bonus. But yeah, Deflated Wee in 1st. with 1010 in P2, John P3, Smaller Smiler P4, and Irish J in P5. Flew unfortunately going out at his home race in Q2, TRC Tom P12, Richie in P13, Sammy in P14, and Mr. Wiggles in P15, unfortunately for him. P4 in the championship will just be one in the recovery drive, I imagine. Is that taking a very wide line through the final corner? Crossing the start-finish line.
You think they would have laid some rubber down after Q2?
Yeah, there should be some more grip now. And they were very committed there through turn 1 and 2, so I think we should have some good track conditions here through turn 3 and into turn 4. Keeping it nice and close to the inside. Through turn 6 now, very easy to lose the back ends. Flat out now down the Mistral straight, as Spark loves to say. Coming up to the turn 8 and 9 chicane then. Misses the apex bit at turn 9, but does get a lovely run through turn 9, so won't lose too much time, I imagine. Hello, Demon.
How you doing, mate?
Through the Bose then for Joseph Hales. Keeps it lovely through there. Through another long left-hander. It's just a lot of long corners around here. And then into another long left-hander through turn 14 and 15. And looks to keep it very tight to the line once again. It does get good traction, and this will be the benchmark for everyone with a 30.8 for Joseph Hales.
You can tell the track's definitely getting faster, as the next one to come across the line is Hissy in the Alfa Romeo. What does he do? He comes across the line at 31.6, so not quite as fast as what he did in Q2. However, there's still 7 minutes to go in the session, as John does a 30.5 to go fastest. Deflated Wee has invalidated his time, so sadly we won't get a shockingly brilliant time from him there. 10:10, also on a lap himself, coming around the third sector now. He always runs in very high gears in that Williams. Usually that helps with things like apex speed, but it does take a lot out of the tyres. Williams now coming round the final corner as Greg does the 32.9 to go 6th. Here we have 10:10 now in the Williams as he gets the DRS open, goes all the way down to the pit straight, and he does a 31 dead. So that's good enough for 4th place right now.
Bonjour, Flou, ça va? That's the only bit of French that I know, really.
Yes.
Oh, and that guy just
And that guy invalidates.
Yeah, just through the chicane there. Easily done. Smaller Smiler then, one of the 3 drivers who haven't set a lap time yet. Might have got a slipstream from his teammate there, but didn't quite see it.
He only got a little slipstream. It wasn't like the Williams in the previous session. It was very like Hissy driving very consciously about the cars behind him, trying very hard to stay out of people's way, which is, gotta say, very sensible of him. But with that, Smaller Smiley comes round to the start-finish straight, and the Alfa Romeo puts it up into 5th position, 3/10 faster than his teammate, Hissy.
And Alfa Romeo 3rd row lockout at a minute. Oh, and just goes for a little spin there through turn 2. I think that's the first
Something
driver
Nikita
we've seen
Mazepin would be impressed with.
Oh, and just tries to get out of the way of the Williams there.
Okay, that's something Mazepin will definitely be impressed with.
8/10 of a second to go above his teammate. But this might be the last lap time from Hissy. As
See, the Williams comes out of the pits. Hopefully he gets out of the way.
just if that was that guy. So it looks like he might be getting a little bit of a slipstream. But hopefully he does get out of the way. He's very close to Hissy at the minute. And does get out of the way nicely. Just about. Just in time anyway. And Hissy is a 10th and a bit up on his lap time.
It was very touch and go with that Williams getting out of the way, but thankfully he did. And now with Hissy on the DRS straight towards the Minstrel straight, comes up to the chicane. Now this is where you really need to get your braking right. Let's see how he does. Just about on the apex.
Looks like he got a good run through there.
Yeah, that was really nice, wasn't it?
3 tenths
up. So he's on course to beat his teammate. Depends how much time he can make up through this final sector. So he could, if he drives well enough, he could make up, another 3 tenths. So that could put him into 4th. So let's see what the 82 champion is able to do as he goes around the long left-handers and into the final section of the circuit Paul Ricard. There he goes down the long left-hander into the tight hairpin at the right, down to 3rd gear. Straighten the car up as soon as you can, then go as fast and as tightly to the left-hand side as you can. Shorten your run going down to the first corner, and just 31.
He just missed out on 10-10.
Just missed out on 10-10. Yeah, that was a brilliant lap there from Hissy when considering he's doing a reserve role here. Gets him good enough into 5th place for now.
Corners now.
And 10-10's just made it.
Oh, just about. Couple of seconds. He likes to be a risky boy.
Yeah, you know how we were saying earlier and how it's going to be about the last one over the lap? Well, that was in wet conditions. That was so close.
Greg then going 7th fastest, just ahead of Dayman, and Dayman hasn't reached the line, so that is Greg definitely in front of Dayman. Deflated Wee on a lap.
Wee's the next one to complete his lap, yeah, and he'd done a 50.2 for the 2nd sector. So it looks comparable to where he was at the end of Q2. This could be at least a front row start for the Haas as it comes across the left-hand corner now, then down to the hairpin, keeps it in 3rd gear. This is going to be so close for pole position time as the Haas gets the DRS open. Absolutely full pedal to the metal now across the line. What does he do?
Yes.
It's a 30.2. What a lap!
Fastest for deflated, but what can everyone else do? John's 3 tenths up on his lap time and goes even faster.
It's a 30.1. Wow.
Very nice from John. And IIRL is improving as well. He's 2.5 tenths up in the middle sector, but what can he do compared to the last sector? Can he get close to the front row? He can, but just not quite close enough during the last sector. And 10-10
I think goes 4th.
4th fastest. I didn't quite see it. But it is John once again on pole position and continuing his extremely good form from this season. Deflated Wee just getting pipped there by John, but will be P2. IIRL in P3 and 10-10 in P4. And then it's a British 3rd row with Joseph Hales and Smaller Smiler in P5 and 6. Hissy just behind his teammate in P7 there. That guy P8, Greg in P9 and IIRL Dayman in P10. At the circuit pole baguette, as I like to call it.
Do you want to take it away, TD?
I will indeed. We have 1 light, 2 light, 3 light, 4 light, 5 lights in Paul Ricard, and the lights are out, and away we go for the 27 lap race. And it looks like Deflated Wee has got a very good start compared to John, and he is trying to go around the outside of John, and he does get the move done in the Haas. But there's contact!
He's been spun
between John and Deflated once again. It just happens every single time that there is. Them two having contact.
Such a shame. He had such a good start as well. They got everyone else still playing it relatively sensible. But yeah, I think John may be facing a penalty for that one. As he loses 3rd place now to Joseph Hales. Doesn't like the McLaren's got any damage either. But bad start all round for the McLaren.
But this has especially helped IIRL, who is now up into P1 from P3 and will be wanting to get retribution for last week's race. That guy going down the inside of Hissy, going into the chicane and getting the move done for the Williams, and will be wanting to keep with his teammate like he did last week.
You see, John now going straight into the back. He's got right into the back of Joseph Helser now. If he can stay with him throughout this section of corners, he almost tries out the inside down at the Bose. And it looks like the McLaren may be going through back into second position. They're starting on the hard tyres, so it doesn't quite have all the grip in the world. The Alpine is having a massive trouble here against the McLaren, who will not give up all the way through the third sector.
Oh, they're still going there, even coming down to the final corner. John on the inside will have the more optimal line, squeezes Joseph out a little bit, but no contact made, and that is John back up into P2, and they'll be wanting to get after IIRL to get his P1 back.
It all just depends how bad his contact was with Deflated Wee. I think he'll at least, I imagine, get a 5-second penalty for it. But already the McLaren is going straight onto the back of the Red Bull and almost touches the back of him.
Joseph's round in the Alpine, and he is down all the way into 11th place. I don't know whether that was contact or whether it was just a spin through turn 3, but as Joseph down to 11th place.
He's done well to recover and doesn't look like he's overheated his tyres too much there, so he just needs to get back into a rhythm, and it won't be far until he's back up the rest of the grid. Wiggles and Flo doing a battle with the Mercedes now. Made a brilliant start from 15th all the way up into 7th place, so don't write off Wiggles yet as Greg fights with Richie M and Joseph Hales behind. It's all kicking off now across the midfield.
Oh, and I'm just seeing now, I've just seen IIRL has a bit of front wing damage on his front left hand side. He's got no end plate, which will not be optimal for IIRL. He's going to lose a bit of downforce, and John is trying to creep up on him with that front wing damage.
Did he get that at the start when he was trying to go past John? I think those two colliding. That's probably where he got the damage.
Possibly did. And I'm sure he won't be too happy with that, but he is still in the lead at the minute. On to lap 3 now. Mr. Wiggles with the fastest lap on the hard tyres. Everyone on the hard tyres except for Richie M in 9th place, who is on the medium tyres, so going for a different strategy. But DRS is now enabled, which could make it easy for John to get past IIRL here.
Look how well he's just set him up across this third sector here. The McLaren got a brilliant line. Of course, I imagine coming through the DRS straight now. Yeah, look at this speed differential between them.
Going
Bull's
down.
not quite giving up. He must be deploying quite a lot of energy to make that one stick.
Could have sort of some lower wings compared to John as well. So that was definitely good straight line speed for IIRL. So it's going to be hard for John to get past. He isn't going to let it up, his IIRL. We know what type of fighter he is.
And even with that, thankfully front wing damage isn't as bad on this game as it was in 2021. So he'll feel a lot of performance, but thankfully it won't be too drastic. But as of now, it's keeping him ahead of the McLaren, who is all over him at the moment.
I think John's trying to go for moves in the places where he can catch IIRL out. If he can do that, which he has now, down the inside of the penultimate corner, but does have the outside line now for the... Oh, they've made contact as well! More contact, and that is Williams up into P1 and P2. Drama between the front two.
You'd be saying that in this decade, eh? Both Williams, 1 and 2. But that's 2 major collisions that John has been part of.
And look at that, Wee is lost. Fail. Mr. Wiggles into P4 now.
And Deflated Wee down to 16th place. It's just going from bad to worse for him right now.
Mr. Wiggles is right on the back of Smaller Smiling out. All the 2 tenths, and he's sniffing the Alfa Romeo and wants to get up into the podium places. He's got the DRS, but so Smaller Smiling, it's going to be hard to go get him, but he is going down the inside. Smaller Smiler keeps it, but does run wide here, and that could give a chance for Mr. Wiggles, and he does. Goes around the outside, nearly makes contact again, and that is prevailing IIRL, and they're going 3 wide.
There's going to be 3 abreast potentially right now, coming into the Bose. Look at that!
Oh, and they've just got round, and IIRL. Lovely stuff from IIRL. but that is
4 abreast
extremely
coming into the
close.
Bose. That is brilliant stuff.
But this is only helping the front two. 10-10 and that guy now
Smaller
1
Smiley wants a
seconds
little
ahead.
bit more. So yeah, for reference, Mr. Wiggle started in 15th place and now he's up to 4th. It's all from 3rd to 6th. It is all kicking off at the moment, and the McLaren of John moves into 5th position. It's going to be a drag race between him and the Alfa Romeo in terms of where they come out in turn 1. That guy does the fastest lap of the race. Who's going to win up between the McLaren and the Alfa?
Oh, Smaller Smiley just giving him a little squeeze there to keep the position, which is good defending, I would say, for Smaller Smiley. Will be wanting to keep the DRS to Mr. Wiggles, otherwise he is possibly going to be a sitting duck to John. But Mr. Wiggles is all over the back of the Red Bull. A Mercedes and a Red Bull doesn't normally end well.
You know how I said the French Grand Prix was boring? I take that back right now.
Keep it on the calendar.
Yeah, FIA. We don't need another race in America. Ooh, sacrilege.
Mr. Wiggles and can't quite get close enough to IIRL. And now
no, but he's set him up very well here. Greg's had an incident in the McLaren.
Yeah, falling over to that.
Way.
Not quite sure what happened there with Greg. I didn't quite see it on the track map.
Deflated weight up into 13th as a result. And the Mercedes, Red Bull, McLaren and Alfa Romeo all pretty much nose to tail. And this is only lap 5 of this Grand Prix. There are the hard tyres though, so all this time fine is really going to compromise their strategy somewhat. However, let's stay on board with this fight between Wiggles. And it looks like John and Smiley are still going at it, and now Joe Hales is joining in for the fun. McLaren's got brilliant drive.
This is lovely for the front two drivers. Both Williams pulling away even more now, 2.6 seconds. And they will be living the dream right now with these fighting.
It's like the old Mercedes domination days, isn't it? Let everyone fight each other and then just bugger off into the distance.
As they are doing. Mr. Wiggles all over the back of that Red Bull, and he is wanting to get the move done, but he can't just quite get enough traction to get into any corners.
Great line though coming out of the straight and into the Minstrel straight and into the chicane.
It does have good speed, but IIRL does have good straight line speed. And he's side by side now with IIRL. Mr. Wiggles down the outside. IIRL keeping it around the outside.
Oh, he did not give that one up, did he?
He didn't want to give it up, and we know the driver of IIRL, and Mr. Wiggles just making a mistake. Yeah, a bit of a wiggle there. John is now right on the back of IIRL, and IIRL is defending like a lion. He isn't letting this up.
And there's contact.
There's 3 rounds. John a Smaller Smiley round at Le Bourget. Wow.
That is unbelievable. So that's the 3rd time. That's the 3rd time that John's been involved in 3 incidents, and now he's just been spun round into 16th place. I mean, that'll be music to IIRL's ears, and
he is in the pit now, possibly getting rid of that front wing damage that he does have, and he's going on to the medium tyres.
That'll put him on a 2-stop for sure.
I'd imagine that's a 2-stop, because I don't think they can get to the end, but if he does, that is extremely impressive for IIRL.
No chance that's going all the way to the end. Unless we do the whole race behind the safety car, I don't think that's happening.
Evening, TJ.
How the devil are you? Sammy has had a moment in the Aston Martin.
We're going board with the front two now, 4.2 seconds ahead of everyone else. And I bet they're loving this. Kenton just staying in the DRS now of that guy, possibly keeping his ERS up. And this is going absolutely perfectly for the Williams drivers.
Both Williams out in front. It's like going back to the 80s now, isn't it?
It's what we like to see, Williams in front.
Yeah. You know, rumours are that Williams' team may be sold to Porsche.
Oh, Flew and Previnel getting very close to each other. Prev prevailing from the incidents, and he's now up to P5 in his home Grand Prix.
Prevanel's also up to 6th place in the Mercedes. So we got the top 6 cars covered by 3 teams. TJ, really good to see you again, mate. We're enjoying an absolute banger of a race so far. Glad you could be on board with us for it.
Look at them position changes. Prevanel up 10 places. Wiggles up 12. That guy up 7. Destined up 9. This is brilliant at the minute.
And we thought Azerbaijan was chaotic.
We're in for another good one, as it has already
Yep.
been. Ooh, pad 3 second time penalty there. The first of this race.
Yep, first penalty of the day goes to our lovable legend, that is Padge.
Prev then 5 tenths behind Flew now. Can he get a run down into the chicane? But a small smiler is also right on the back of Prev. Flew defending towards the inside. Prev looks to have good straight line speed here. He's going towards the inside of
Defend against
Flew.
thin air initially. There we go.
Keeps it around the outside, getting very close to him, but it looks to have got through very nicely. And he has. Up into P5 for Prev. And small smile is now going down the inside of Flew. Prev just trying to keep his position as hard as possible. A small slider up into P6 there, going down the inside of Prev, it looks like, seeing a small gap, but it doesn't quite get the move done. But he is up into P6.
He's very ambitious, trying to attempt an overtake across there, and it's one of those ones. It's so easy to lose the back end, so you've got to be so gentle with how you apply the throttle. He'll have a much better chance coming through the start-finish straight though, as he shifts down and comes up now behind with the DRS activated. With 3 tenths behind, he should be able to make a move if he deploys enough energy, or he's got enough of a speed straight, but it looks like he's not going for it for now.
Yeah, just staying behind smaller slider, Prev at the minute. But we'll eventually want to try and get the move done. Oh, and that guy has made a little bit of a mistake there. He did get out of a second to 10-10, but 10-10 is now back in with DRS range.
Fastest lap from IIRL J with that repaired front wing, but he's got it all to do behind, as Sammy is making more mistakes than that Aston Martin, and surprised going inside, there hasn't been a safety car yet.
Prev and Smaller Swallow getting in front of Prev. Nicely done into the chicane, but Prev is going to have a run here, going into turn 10 on Smaller Smiley. He's in the slipstream. Can he go around the outside of Smaller Smiley? He's trying to, but can't quite get close enough. But he's going looking for the inside. Not quite. Keep him behind just for the time being at least.
I mean, the fact that these guys are able to drive as well as they are with no assists, it's just a testament to their skills as drivers playing this game. I mean, because in my Azerbaijan race, I struggled so much just to keep close to the other car, because the Constantino in the track like that is so hard. Full credit to these guys to be able to drive as closely to each other the way they have. As Deflated Wee is fighting his teammate Haas Richie for 8th place.
Destined is right there as well.
Yeah, well, it looks like he's boxed in though. There's very little that he could do. He's going to go around to the outside though of the Haas, and can he make it stick? It doesn't look like he can't. So it's the Ferrari in a Haas sandwich.
It's a good designer ship, going well.
Another fastest lap for IIRL J.
Then back
looks like Hissy's made a mistake as well.
Oh, Prev, 3-second time penalty.
Oh, that's not good.
Especially in his fight for 5th. Back to his battle. Deflated Wee and Destined. Destined is catching up to Deflated. Deflated goes towards the inside. Can Destined keep it around the outside? He does, but doesn't just quite have the momentum.
You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got 7 cars that's so close to each other from 8th place down. So I think it's Deflated Wee all the way back to Padge, and they are all so close to each other as Deton gets a little bit out of shape there in his Red Bull, but Richie is falling a long way back, and he tries the inside and he's made contact. Dear oh dear, another Red Bull in the wars as TRC Deton spins, and that hands John 10th position. He gets past the Haas as...
Hissy goes
Looks like I thought
inside.
Yeah, well played there from Hissy. The McLaren of Tonto... Oh, and Mr. Wiggles has his first penalty.
Ooh.
Now, if you started on the median, you're coming close to the cut-off point now where you come in for tyres, aren't you?
You are indeed. As we know, this track is very high on tyre wear, so this could be towards the lap where we see Richie going into the pits. I imagine the hard tyres will be staying out at least a little bit longer. But yeah, tyre percentage definitely one of the worst on this track.
It's just the long corners that really do it, isn't it? Plus they're on hard tyres, which they're not the grippiest things in the world, despite being the most durable. It's almost like they have to work harder to stick to the surface. But as you'll see right now, those who start on the hard, it will pay dividends later when they come in for their change of tyres, as the fight in front of John is bringing him closer to Deflated Wheat and Destined, as we see yellows in Sector 3, and that's Richie N that's gone round alongside with Paj, so I don't know if there was contact there between the two. That brings IIRL J up into 13th position, and what I understand, about 12 seconds back from John.
So he is gaining the time, but he still needs to catch up if he wants to get a pit stop on John. John then all over the back of Destined here.
If there's any consolation, John will lose time behind him if he doesn't get the move done now, and he doesn't get it done now.
We'll be wanting to get it down the Michel straight, however, the Ferrari in front will also have the DRS off of Deflated Wheat, so it's going to be hard for John to get past here. Oh, and Destined just a little bit wide there, possibly a warning for him.
Yep. Fairly even Stevens comes up to the chicane. John's got to hope for a good run out of the chicane if he wants to pass him before the Bose. And it looks like he's just about got it. Yeah, he has got a good run, you're right. Destined
defending towards the inside so that John can't get closer to him. John get an extremely good run there. He's right on the back of him. Can he go around the outside of the Ferrari? Can't quite get it done. Look towards the switchback, but Destined with very good defensive moves there.
I think
and Hissy going for a spin there.
Well.
Hissy going for a spin. Oh, and Destin spun. Oh, and John spun again. I think we've seen another incident there for John. I think that's the fourth incident we've seen with John. What is happening with the championship leader? And that is him down to 11th.
Was there contact with the Ferrari?
I think so, because they were both round going into the penultimate corner.
Stewards are going to have a field day with this. Should they get reported at least?
Is the steward for NA? I can't even remember.
Oh, well, God, it's me.
Oh, it's you, isn't it? You're going to have fun, aren't you? Good luck to Spark.
Okay, from now on, I will attempt to remain impartial for the rest of this.
We will go on board with the two Williams drivers once again. Now the gap is 3.3 seconds to Mr. Wiggles, so it's gone down slightly compared to what there was in front. However, they still are extremely comfortable, and I reckon we could see possibly an undercut from one of them to try and gain a little bit of time. Oh, that's a very early pit stop there by Wiggles.
He must be in for mediums.
He is. He's in for the mediums. That is extremely early, I would say, for Wiggles. He's going to
Yeah.
have to take for him a long way. They won't be very nice for him at the end, that is, at least.
And John's into the pits as well.
We'll just see if John has any front wing damage, because he has had a few incidents this race, so we'll see if he's got any front wing damage.
He must have.
No, no front wing damage.
No.
Just onto the mediums.
That's almost impressive.
Still not impressed with the 4 incidents though, however.
Yeah, it's a little bit sloppy.
1010
Now,
is getting closer to that guy. So I reckon we could see an undercut at some point from 1010, but I bet 1010 is loving this in terms of a championship. He is 22 points behind John at the minute, and if he can get his teammate, that'll gain him 25 points on John at the minute, which will gain him the championship lead.
It all depends on, obviously, with the pit stops, because as they're both in the same team, it's not like they can double stack. Whoever comes in first is going to have the advantage. So normally it would be the first driver, but it all just depends on who decides to throw a dummy and come into the pits. So
Joseph Hales into the pits, and this will be interesting for Joseph. Where can he come out compared to Mr. Wiggles, who just pit a lap before? So we'll have a look at Mr. Wiggles and see where he comes out compared to Joseph and Smaller Smiley. Destin getting a 3-second time penalty there. But Mr.
Wiggles will get
said
ahead of Joseph. He'll get ahead of him.
he's well ahead. And he was only a couple of seconds in front of Joseph Hales when he did go in for the pit stop. So that is quite
But is he
an
going to get... No,
interesting
he's
thing.
not going to get ahead of the Ferrari, though.
Oh, very tight there.
That was so close.
That was very close. But he just manages to stay in front. But the gap is now 4.1 seconds to Mr. Wiggles. So the undercut looks to gain you about 1.5 seconds, which could be crucial for these front two. Padge retired in the pits. But could we see one of these front two drivers coming into the pit lane this lap?
Imagine if they had race engineers. I think as soon as they had that, I mean, that guy would be in straight away.
Let's see what that guy is doing then. He's coming into the pits.
He's coming in.
1010 stays out, so 1010 going for the overcut then. He couldn't pit like he was saying earlier because he couldn't go for the double stack. And this is going to have to be a mighty lap from 1010 if he wants to try and get in front of that guy. Oh, and this isn't going to be very nice for 1010. Padge's AI coming out of the pit lane at the wrong time, and that will have lost him that time.
It looks like the undercut's going to work then for...
Well, we'll see where Mr. Wiggles is compared to that guy. Mr. Wiggles was 3 seconds behind, and look how much closer he is to that guy. Only
He's 1.2 seconds.
He's under a second now, and that guy is on cold tyres. So this could be a good strategy for Mr. Wiggles, but he does have 2 lap older medium tyres. So it'll be interesting to see what happens at the end of the race.
That's remarkable that John sets the fastest lap in this McLaren. IIRL now up into 8th place with the battle ahead of him between Crevenell and Smaller Smiley. He's going to have to come in and make another pit stop. This is all going to help him in the long run. So you see Mr. Wiggles up in front with that guy. He goes to the inside, he's going for it.
Oh, and he got a 3-second time penalty for it. Oh, that's going to be crucial for his race. Oh, and he nearly spins there as well, but very good catch there by Mr. Wiggles. That was very impressive to keep it out of a wall at least.
Yeah. It wouldn't have helped that guy though. As you see, 1010 comes into the pits. Just about gets it stopped in time. Deflated Wee will surely take the lead.
Unless he
decides to kind of pit himself. Yeah. I was just about to say that. We read my mind. Do the words right out of my mouth. And speaking of which, he's coming into the pits.
Let's see where 1010 is then compared to that guy. He needed to have an impressive lap time if he wanted to try and stay in front of Williams towards the end of the pit lane. And that guy is coming down the pitch straight
That guy's
now,
going to do it.
and he is in front, but will he be in front of Mr. Wiggles? And I think he has just got it. He has just got it, and that guy has just got a 3-second time penalty.
He spun!
He spun, and the 10-10 is now into the lead. And the driver behind is Mr. Wiggles with 6-second penalty. And this is all going perfectly for 10-10.
Richie M gets another penalty as well. And just when you thought it was all wrapped up, we have a battle for the lead between the Mercedes and the Williams, but it's kind of a Pyrrhic victory for the Mercedes because he's still got 6 seconds worth of penalties. So Wiggles goes into the lead, and all 10-10 needs to do now is just stay within 6 seconds of Mr. Wiggles, and that will be the win for him in the bag.
If he just stays in that DRS, keeps the ERS that he needs, he just needs to keep it tidy, and this is a win going to 10-10. And I don't think we have seen a win from 10-10 in IIRL yet, and this has been an extremely impressive drive.
Yeah, to give full credit to him, he hasn't put a foot wrong so far this race, and shame for that guy because he was on track to at least get on the podium, but that spin has cost him dearly. But then again, he's got 3 seconds of penalties himself compared to Mr. Wiggles' 6, so he's just got to overtake Joseph Hales and bring himself back into contention for at least the podium, and it won't be a bad result, all things considered.
But he does need to pull away 3 seconds to Joseph Hales if he does so. So we could be seeing the Baguette team on the podium in Baguette land.
And what a great way to close out. And what a great way to close out the French Grand Prix on this particular league. It's 6/10 now the gap between the Mercedes and the Williams. Remember, it doesn't need to pass him, he just has to stay with him. But it all just depends on how much that affects his pace. What's he going to do as he comes up?
Isn't close enough, so maybe just staying behind, like you're saying, Spark. Maybe just keeping it tidy. And I've just had a look at the driver stats. Well. 10-10 hasn't got a win yet. Could this be the moment for 10-10 in his 51 races in IRL after last season's? I don't think he'd be bothered about me saying calamity of a season. Lots and lots of DNFs and races just not going his way, and we've seen 10-10 be absolutely perfect so far this race. Could this be the moment for him?
All that time he uses DRS and stays behind him, that will save him energy as well. So it could be part of the plan to stick behind him, save the energy, because you have to remember, Wiggles has got 3-lap-old. He's got 5-lap-old tyres compared to 10-10's 2. So those tyres will drop off much quicker. And then 10-10 could just use whatever energy he's saved to just get away. He's just playing this very, very tactically at the moment. I've got a feeling this will certainly be a done deal. Especially with that 6 seconds of penalties from Mr. Wiggles.
He is closer on this lap compared to last lap. Only 3 tenths now. 4 tenths just on the exit. What will 10-10 do then going into the chicane? He has obviously got the DRS coming up to Mr. Wiggles. What will he do? He has a bit of a straight line speed advantage. It looks like he's going to go for the move into the chicane. He does,
side.
And gets the move done into P1 for 10-10, and he does have the fresher tyres like we were saying earlier compared to Mr. Wiggles.
And he's already pulling away. I know the straight doesn't look like it's doing much justice, but already with whatever energy he would have saved up, as Mr. Wiggles gets so close around the Fosse, but the exit will have cost him. Oh, and a little snap there from the Mercedes. Love how even though he's got 6 seconds worth of penalties, he still doesn't want to give him up. I love that. I love it.
Wiggles will never give up. We know what type of driver Wiggles is, and he will never give up.
Which is what we always love to see, the racer coming out in people. And Joe Hales is only 1.7 seconds behind the slot, so he's very slowly bringing himself up into play as Pravanel continues his battle behind with the Alfa Romeo of Smaller Smiley. John John is closing up to Flu in P8. I have to say, fairly scruffy race for him so far. I mean, especially with 2 race wins under his belt, it's probably been involved in more incidents than he would have liked.
Then getting a lovely exit out of turn 6. And possibly will be able to stay in front here of Mr. Wiggles, but Mr. Wiggles is gaining. It doesn't look to have the straight line speed like 1010 did last lap, and stays in front for the time being. We are on lap 20 now of 27. Only 7 laps remaining, and we have 1010 in the lead and John John down in P9, which will currently give 1010 the championship lead.
I've got to say, Wiggles' line, I've got to say 1010's line though throughout the second. Oh, and he looks like he's gone wide.
Just a bit of a mistake there, maybe a bit of pressure.
Yeah, maybe. He's got the fresher tyre, so it wouldn't be down to tyre life.
He just needs to keep it clean though. Joseph Hales is within his 3 seconds. He can't afford to get a 3-second time penalty.
But that will certainly rob him of the win, and that will put Joseph Hales is only 1.6 seconds behind Wiggles now. So the Alpine slowly bringing himself into play here. We could see potentially a 3-4-way fight for the lead. Well, 2, for including those who don't know penalties at least.
We will have a look at some battles a little bit further down the grid. Smaller Smiley and Trev fighting for P5. Trev obviously does have that time penalty. Smaller Smiley, no time penalties at the time being. And IIRL has just recently pit, I've just seen, and he is right on the back of Destined, going for P11. But he does have a big gap to P10, so but still will be wanting to try and get some points.
Well, with a 10-second gap, that's a big ask to get to. I know Hissy's only reserving, but still 10 seconds someone hard. It's quite hard for him to bridge. However, he makes very quick work of that Ferrari going through the straight and got the DRS open and moved on way before they even get to the corner. So with 4-lap old tyres, with 4 laps younger tyres as well compared to Hissy, it's not exactly off the cards for the Red Bull to close up to him. It just depends on who makes a mistake above.
A Red Bull getting past a Ferrari easily? What is this? It's like it's real life.
I know, it's not like the Red Bull straight line speed was so fast last year. It was ridiculous, and then they just melted themselves, and which basically handed the championship to Verstappen. I think that was the disappointing thing about 2022. It wasn't the fact that Verstappen's unreal. It's just the fact that Ferrari robbed Charles Leclerc of a chance to challenge Max Verstappen.
The Ferrari master plan.
If there's anything we can go on about for 2022, it's between Ferrari and Gotifi for how much we can hate on.
Trevor Nelven still right on the back of Smaller Smiley. Oh, and Joseph getting overtaken by that guy then. And he is still on for the podium. So like we have been saying with 1010, he doesn't need to overtake the drivers in front. He just needs to keep it clean. Just needs to keep it clean. And we know that Joseph is a great driver, and he's been unfortunate so far this season. So if in the homeland of Alpine would be a great race for him.
Gap between IIRL and Hissy now 8.6 seconds since the last lap. So the Red Bull is reeling in that Alfa Romeo quite quickly, and John is 0.7 seconds behind Flu in 8th place. So both championship contenders clawing their way back up through the field, and IIRL almost into the points himself.
We will watch that battle between Flu and John. Hopefully John doesn't have another incident. For his sake anyway. The incidents probably will get reviewed, but we won't talk about them too much. We'll just continue with the race that we see so far.
And he sits behind him there on the first corner, but the Alpine goes a little bit wide, and that's going to set him up quite nicely going to the end of the first sector. I suspect by the next DRS straight, the McLaren will be ahead.
So just having a solid but quiet race. Just wanting to get points, I reckon, for Flew in his homeland.
He's certainly gone under the radar a bit, hasn't he?
We've seen a lot of improvement from Flew compared to last season, as we do see John going to the inside. But I have been very impressed with Flew this season. We've seen a big improvement from him since last season, which is very, very nice to see.
Well, he's been quite consistent, hasn't he? Like, I know, obviously, he's in 9th place and he's not quite there in terms of pace, but in terms of consistency and not making mistakes, I agree. He certainly has improved, and it's interesting to see how far he'll come off the back of that. I hope, at least by the end of the season, he'll be fighting for pole positions and podiums.
He's turned into Mr. Consistent this season, this Flew.
And as George Russell always said, consistency is key.
He's trying to take the position off of Greg. This Flew. He wants that Mr. Consistency. The gap
Which
now
I take that
at the front. 8/10.
Oh, and that guy's made a massive mistake. That's going to bring Joe Hales back into contention. Wonder if that's going to make him vulnerable into the next DRS straight. He goes wide again in the Williams.
What will Joseph Hales do then?
Try to overtake if you can.
Like we say, but he doesn't need to overtake.
Looks like things are starting to settle down with that guy over 2 seconds back now. Which the Wiggles it. This is actually the most ideal position for Joseph Hales, because with this gap, 6 seconds in Wiggles penalties and 3 seconds for that guy, that easily puts him in 2nd place.
We have just started a poll, everyone. Vote for your driver of the day. Who you think it should be?
5.4 seconds, 5.1 seconds now, the gap between Hissy and IIRL J. The IIRL J and the Red Bull getting so close to that point, that single point in the standings, which I have to say is fairly unfortunate to get that contact, so it was certainly very well deserved. But John now up into 8th position in the McLaren, and this is all starting to calm down a little bit up in the front. With 3 laps to go, 1010 is doing a brilliant job at resisting the pressure from Mr. Wiggles behind. But it's not like he has to do much with his penalty anyway, so looks like things are starting to stabilise at the front.
Like we said, the whole race, 1010 just needs to keep it clean. However, he is out of the 3-second range of Joseph Hales. So if he keeps up this pace, he will still finish in front of Joseph Hales as it stands. But he can't be going and risking and getting a penalty. Oh, and that guy making a bit of a mistake there. Big wiggle coming out of the chicane.
Doesn't look like the Alpine can do much with the mistake now, though. As long as he stays with him in the next few laps, it's not like he's not going to get 2nd place anyway. But the thing is, if I'm in the position, I still want to overtake him.
He does look to have a lot more grip, does Joseph, compared to that guy, even though he does have one more lap older tyres, but it does look to be a lot stronger compared to that guy, I would say, on these tyres.
Yeah, I thought the Williams was almost trying to prioritise his exits more than anything coming out of each of the corners. It's lap 26 now, so this is the penultimate lap of the race. But with things stabilising as well, it looks like the Alpine still has a chance. He's just got to wait for that guy to make another mistake. But he's got this one when it comes to penalties, so it's not the end of the world if he doesn't overtake. Deflated Wee is caught up to Prebenel at 7th place. So John is about 4 seconds back. It doesn't look like he's going to go any further than 8th place. 3.6 the gap between IIRL J and Hissy. So IIRL has got to pull it out of the bag now if he wants to get that extra point. But what can Prev NL do versus the Alfa Romeo of Smaller Smiley? And it looks like Deflated Weed not too far behind as well. 5, 6, and 7 is still up for grabs, but Prev NL obviously has got his penalty. Another penalty for Damon as well in the Alpha Tauri. Still 5/10 between P3 and P4. We've got a penultimate. We've got almost one more lap to go as soon as they cross the line.
Prevanel is right on the back of Smaller Smiley now. He's only 2/10 of a second going into Labourse. And I'm sure he wants to try and at least get the move done on the track.
Yeah, he won't keep the positions, but it's all about pride. Actually, no. With those penalties, that's going to bring John up potentially.
And he should try and gain a second on the last lap. But we will go on board with 10:10 for this final lap.
Absolutely. Mr. Consistent, this is the man that's, with all the errors and everything that was going on behind him, he's the one for 27 laps who has kept it all pointing the right way. And with holding off an immense amount of pressure from Mr. Wiggles throughout this entire race, I've got to say, his first win in this league is going to be a very well-deserved one for sure. As he comes across the awkward chicane one last time and before the stretch into the Beausset, 7/10 is the gap between himself and Wiggles, but with the penalties applied, he is well and truly safe. As Joe Hales is closing up to that guy behind. I don't think he's going to get the move done, though. I'll let you close off the final sector, TD, as 10:10 rather, comes across the finish line.
Through the final couple of corners now, as we said earlier, all the troubles that 10:10 had last season with getting used to the new wheel, it comes round the penultimate corner and into the final corner now. It has been an absolutely superb drive from 10:10. He's 51st race in the league and he comes across the line to win the French Grand Prix, and what a drive by 10:10. He couldn't be any more happy with that. Joseph Hales in the Alpine does get P2. That guy coming home to make it a double Williams podium in P3. Mr. Wiggles with them penalties dropping down to P4. Deflated Wee does get P5 from Smaller Smiley and Prev. And John just gets Prev on penalties. Flew comes home in P9 in his home race. Hissy in P10. IRSJ just missing out on the points in P11. Destined coming home in P12. TRC Deton in P13. IIRL Dayman coming home in P14 in the Alpha Tauri. And Richie and Greg fighting towards the line for 15th place, but it does look like Richie is going to keep in front of Greg. So it'll be Richie in P15 and Greg in P14, with Monkey Raja in P17, but Richie just looks to have let Greg go by then. I'm not sure whether an incident happened earlier. But wow, what a race.
And what an absolute, what a brilliant first win for 10:10 as well. I think after all the issues he had last season, for him to get the win the way he did, I'd say full hats off to him. Absolutely brilliant result. And just kept his nose clean and out of trouble. I think it's certainly my candidate for driver of the day.
Double Williams podium then, and an Alpine on the podium at the French Grand Prix is what you like to see.
At least we got an Alpine on here for the last no-assist race on the French Grand Prix.
For the time being anyway.
I think shout out at least to driver of the day, to shout out for Mr. Wiggles today for a brilliant drive, and Joseph Hales also done brilliantly well in the Alpine to get onto the podium with everyone's penalties. Wiggles up from 15th to 4th, brilliant stuff. That guy, very consistent race, shame about his mistake, but you know, sadly is the way it goes. That's racing sometimes, and Yeah, I have to say, brilliant French Grand Prix. Round 3 done.
So it is 10-10 who wins the French Grand Prix. Joseph Hale's coming home in P2. That guy P3. Mr. Wiggles in P4. Deflated Wee in P5. Small Smiley in P6 with a very solid drive. John after a few incidents coming up in P7 with the fastest lap. Prevenel in P8. Flew in his home race in P9. And Hissy taking the final points positions. And it will be Sammy and Padge retiring from the race, unfortunately. But wow, what a race! What a race! That has absolutely taken my breath away.
What a breath! What a race! What a banger!
More of that next week.